Yeah, helped helped produce my mom's cousin Mike Wheeler his jazz guitar album back in 1994, 30 years ago. And so, what does it say? Special thanks to Willie Nelson and a lot of other engineers. Yeah, it was produced by Willie Nelson back then, 30 years ago. So, happy birthday to Willie. My mom's cousin is a jazz guitarist, so I studied at Berklee College of Music. So, anyways, um, yeah, it's like worked really hard. I mean, to have a career in music, you have to work really hard. This is kind of not really. No, I mean, I guess artificial intelligence. I guess if a rapper just like steals old riffs, I guess a rapper doesn't have to work all that hard, right? But like if you're an actual musician, like you actually play music, then you have to work really hard to make a hit and to sell songs and to sell records. So, I mean, if you use an artificial intelligence computer and you just use a computer and the computer generates all the music for you and you just bust rhymes on it and, you know, you have a hit song or something, then maybe you don't have to do that hard of a work. But if you're an actual musician, you might have to do a lot of work, a lot of hard work. Yeah. So, all right. Looks like it was recorded out in Spicewood, Texas. My aunt and uncle had a business out there, Austin Technical, for a while. It kind of died in the Great Recession, but it was going strong like 2005 to about 2009 or so. That's when a lot of businesses died, right, in the Great Recession, especially like small businesses that weren't bailed out. So a lot of the independent small businesses died out during the Great Recession. Yeah, it is. Now, maybe some people, they're like, oh man, my life went to shit after the Great Recession. And maybe even still today, they might bring it up. And, it's not really an excuse. It's just, some shit happened. But, yeah. All right. So happy birthday, 91st, to Willie Nelson, Texas country music legend. And music legend in general. So my uncle was always, blue collar work and into fixing appliances. And, oh. My uncle wanted to he's my step uncle, but he's still like my uncle because he's like married my mother's sister. So long time ago, like 30 years ago or so. And they have a son. And then she had a son from a previous guy. And so, but Larry he's not Larry the cable guy. Let's call him Larry the appliance guy. But he's like really sharp, really smart dude. But he played keyboards, and so he was in Urban Cowboy in Pasadena. And he's actually in it for a split second. I think I caught him on the split second on the DVR where he was in it when he was young. I think he wanted to be a musician, like being an Allman Brothers band type situation. But, sometimes you have to pick a trade. In the music business, it's not everybody can make it in the music business, even if he still plays and sings. But, you got to have the 9 to 5, or what they call they call it Plan B, or they call it the day job. They call it, right? Isn't that what they call it? Plan B or the day job? So, Guy dreams of being a rock musician, and then he's a starving artist, and then he's struggling at the Red Lobster, and you know, the same old story, right? So, and now the guys that don't make it, does it mean that they're not talented? Well, sometimes it just means they don't have the financial or the economic support, you know, the education. It's usually actually success in life really does boil down to, you know, like maybe like three components. So three or four components, right? So it's like education, economic access, financial. All right, economic support, access, education, drive, focus, achievement, and also there's an element of luck, right? So and of course you got to put in there, roll the dice. There's luck too. So. I know it. People wanted to hear. People probably don't want to hear like the hard work or words like luck or education or money. People probably don't want to hear stuff like that. Discipline, sobriety. They probably don't want to hear that those are probably the keys to success. And some of them are out of our control, and some are in our control. And a lot of it's in our control. And so, yeah, people just want to say, well, if I want to be a successful and famous musician, all I need is the artificial intelligence android to make my music for me, and then I just get on the mic, and then, you know, after that, I'm just a rich man. And I'm a famous rich man with bitches everywhere and stuff. All right, it's not, I mean, it could work that way for some people if they get lucky, but especially with artificial intelligence technology evolving every day, quite quickly, actually. So when Austin Technical was still a thing, my aunt and uncle's business, it was an appliance business based on uh, my uncle had worked years for big corporations, and so he wanted to branch out, but it was a lot more difficult, and it was really difficult to branch out from the big dogs. It would be like, I guess, you work for like Burger King or something, or Pizza Hut, and then you want to make your own like burger shop or something. Hello. So when I work for Ostech, um, sometimes we drive all the way all around Austin. You know, Driftwood, Spicewood, Round Rock, etc., etc. You know, Lago Vista, all over the place. 360, Mopac, all over. You know, Austin, Texas, if you know what I'm talking about. Texas Hill Country, Austin, Texas. So yeah, we go everywhere for like calls. Mostly I did like computer work, but occasionally I went out on calls too, and long hauls, like to Bastrop or wherever. Cool, man. Got the daily Jesus. All right. We're good now. Once you get that, it's like it's on. You know it's all good. Got my cargo shorts. This kind of shit for the mail. Okay. In Dripping Springs, back when they set up Austin Technical, there wasn't much there at the time. It was pretty country, and my aunt and uncle, they like country music. They wanted to live out in the country and have their own slice of heaven out there. And so they bought this big piece of land, bought some water collectors. They even got into solar power energy and all this self-sufficiency stuff. And eventually went into farming too. A little bit. Just chickens and growing tomatoes and stuff like that. And peppers and just kind of low-level farming, not heavy industrial farming like cows and horses and stuff like that. It was Deer Creek Ranch. Yeah, they had lots of deer. It was wonderful at first, before people moved in and ruined it. At first, they had their own little slice of heaven out there. And I think they made a mistake combining their business with their home, because if you worked there, there was seemingly no separation between the business and the personal life. And that became a problem at times, because I don't think my uncle had the best background check situation going on. And sometimes my aunt and uncle would have to fire people. And yeah, so you'd be afraid that somebody would be like, "Oh, you fired me, huh? I know where you live." So it's kind of a bad deal. Yeah, one guy my uncle fired, I was like, oh shit. Is this guy gonna come back with a machine gun or something? Go postal and shit. So it was a bad decision from the get-go. Combining your business with your house. It's a bad deal. So, but they wanted everything together, everything all in one, I guess. Now the main family house was separate from the shop, the business area, but still it was a little bit too close for comfort. So one day my aunt, as I've explained before, kind of the reason why she wanted to go to Austin is she wanted to be closer to the music scene, and she was giving her son music lessons along with my mom's cousin sometimes, and I guess they were trying to make him into like a rock and roll star or something like that. And he was taking karate for a little while too. It was just getting him into everything, really. But he really took to the music and went really heavy into that. Yeah. He had like his own room of like guitars and everything. He had it going on. He had a band for a little while. It's like heavy metal music. Death metal or whatever you call it. So then, baby Hooch, you're here waiting for me. Loyally, yes. Well, that's why they call it the dog's man's best friend. I was like, well, it certainly ain't women. Certainly ain't other people. Now, dogs, whoo. I guess I have to explain the guy, but you probably saw the guy was retarded, the guy that I bumped into. Instead of ignoring him like, oh, retarded, I decided to say hi today. Instead of going, oh, it's a tard. But he's kind of one of those retarded guys that's like, and I'm like, oh God, you know, it really bothers me. So anyways, I decided to be nice today. Hi. Even though like 2 blocks later, I still heard like, it's like, I can get like that too real quick if I start drinking. after the second beer, I can be like, I can join. Then I can be on the level, right? Well, I mean, the problem with having a conversation with a retarded person is that there's no really forward progress. You're just like 1 month, 1 day, you're like, hey, and he's just, and then like 3 years pass by, and you're kind of like, hey, what's going on? Retarded? And the person's like, hey, still retarded. I mean, there's no really, I mean, it's retardation. You know, it's not called evolution. But today I decided to, hey, you know, just be Mr. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, and just say, hey, how are you today? Yeah, instead of, oh God, get away from him. Yeah. Do this one right here. Yeah. So, carded. What's going on? Okay. Tarded. He annoys me because he goes and like super loud. It's like 3 blocks. That's why. If he was quiet, if he was just slow and just kind of quiet, like, you know, something like that, right? You know what I mean? Like, hey. And he was one of those guys who was retarded, but he was like not loud. Then I'd be like, okay. But you never go full retard. You never go full retard. Like in the Ben Stiller movie, 2008's. It was Tropic Thunder. You never go full retard. He's doing the full retard. He's trying to win the. I suppose they were making fun of Tom Hanks' performance. They're doing a Tropic Thunder is a spoof of many things, but I think it's a little like Forrest Gump reference about how, you know, or about how it's making fun of Hollywood, how they do it, like people struggling with mental illness or retardation or some kind of problem like that, some kind of disorder, that they win Oscars, and that's what they're making fun of. Oh well. So my uncle rushed in one day to the Austin Technical at their home in Dripping Springs. They may have sold their home already. Yeah, I think they might have sold it already, I think. Or it's still on the market, but it's all abandoned because they moved to Arkansas to take care of my grandmother, who had a few strokes, and so they're taking care of her. Yeah. So my uncle came rushing home one day. He was all excited. He came through his door on the property at Dripping Springs. And he said, guess what? Guess you never believe who I got a call from. Because, you know, in Austin, Texas, it could be anybody who's a star or who's a musician or who's famous in Austin, Texas. He could have went to Sandra Bullock's estate. He could have went to Matthew McConaughey's estate. He could have went to, yeah. Bingo, he went to Willie Nelson's ranch. So then he came in, he had an official thank you letter from Willie Nelson's ranch. And he was just like, he was ecstatic, you know. Yeah. Ooh. Dum, dum, dum. Super ecstatic. Now, Willie Nelson didn't produce my uncle's album, but it was still pretty. Yeah, there's a picture with Willie Nelson from back in the day, my great grandmother, the late great Inez Wheeler, Granny Inez, and then my grandmother, so Ida Cersei, so Ida Lou Rawlingson from Oklahoma. So I was, I love that there's a picture of my grandma and great grandmother with Willie Nelson in the same frame. It's really awesome. So. Now, I used to not put that on my social media, Facebook profile pictures or YouTube or any social media, just because my grandmother was still alive. I mean, she's still alive today, but she might have been, the gossipers might have got, around to her or something like that back when. So now, who are the gossipers? The gossipers are like the lonely, desperate, the housewives. They're like the Alyssa Milano MILFs that have nothing better to do. So, they're like, they got their American dream, and they're kind of like, but they're in-laws. They're not my blood relatives. So typically my blood relatives don't talk shit about me. But the in-laws, the ones that are just extra, that are married in from step families, now those people do freely talk shit. Okay, those people are just like strangers on the street. I mean, even though I grew up with them, they're bad. Okay, so in addition, you may not even be close to your extended relatives, maybe like your cousins, and they may not like you or something like that. So there's also that as well. Usually it's bitches. Usually it's women. It's women. Okay, so usually it's bitches. I mean, let's be honest. But I mean, that doesn't mean to say that there's not guys that are out there on social media talking shit. But I'm saying 9 times out of 10, it's step relatives, step cousins, step this, step that. It's usually blood relatives usually don't talk shit about their own kin, their own blood, and if there are foibles, they just kind of look past them. But the step people, the non-bloods, tend to rub it in whatever your mistakes are, and they tend to accentuate mistakes or problems, and so they tend to dig into it. Okay, so now, the reason why I wouldn't post Willie Nelson with my great-grandmother and my grandmother is off the tour bus is because then the gossips would see and they would be blah, 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 and then all of that shit. And so I didn't want my step-grandfather, who's married to my biological grandmother, his daughter, the gossip in Arkansas, seeing that picture and going, hey, look what I saw, blah, 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 blah. And then, narking on me to my grandma, hey, you put your picture online, blah, 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 blah. They would find something to do, So but now my great-grandmother Inez is dead. Willie Nelson, he's 91 years old. And my grandmother, unfortunately, is crippled. So in the future, there won't really be anybody to tell about this story, except for now, about and showing the picture or whatever. I mean, so eventually there'll be nobody left alive to tell any kind of story because everybody will pass. So in the end. I know that might sound dark and bleak, but I mean, they have their children and grandchildren to carry on their lineage. in their family line, and so and if they did anything in their lives, they have their works, their music, or their whatever it was. So yeah, typically family bloods, those in the genetic line, do not betray other family members, do not squabble with other family members, but it can happen. But usually it's not bloods who do it. It's non-relatives and non-bloods, people not part of the tribe, are the usual betrayers. Basically, you think that these women, like Alyssa Milano, right? We're calling Alyssa Milano for the MILFs in the 40 to 50-year-old range. They got the 2 or 3 kids, they got the money, they got the husband, but they don't seem really all that happy. They got the American dream, but they're not overjoyed by it, you know? They don't seem particularly appreciative of the American dream. They don't seem particularly appreciative of what they have. So you have it all, but you're not that happy. That's very fascinating. Caveat of modern society. So I thought when women and men, when they got their 2 or 3 kids and they got their house and they got their careers and they make big money and all that, I thought they'd be happier than pie. But no. So on the rumor mill, did Trump DeSantis put some of those chives on there? Trump DeSantis 2024? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a psychic. Eidetic photographic memory savant. Yes, indeed. But not a psychic. I can't tell the future. All you can see is, data from the past. Like, okay, Trump and DeSantis met in Miami and discussed things for hours and hours. What did they discuss? Who's going to be the vice presidential pick of Donald John Trump? Well, so about a year or so ago, made the video Trump DeSantis 2024 on iMovie iPhone. And that's kind of like my dream team, Trump DeSantis. And then when they had such bitter rivalry during the primaries, I thought, oh my God, it just seemed less and less likely. So I think maybe an old channel got deleted that had the video on it. So I decided to put it back up. And And the video isn't from the other day. It's like from a year or two ago. But some people think that Trump will have to pick somebody of a different ethnicity or different sexual orientation than white straight male, or Caucasian white straight male. However, his popularity with minorities and Latinos and blacks and so on is very, very high, and with American people in general. So, since he's an American legend, icon, former and future president, billionaire, and so on and so forth. So, New York real estate developer, et cetera, et cetera. So, Trump, yeah, I'm getting excited. You know it. Happy now. Do all this at one time. This other one over here. Now, I can't predict the 2024 election. I can't predict Donald Trump's running mate, but the indicators are there that Trump may pick Ron DeSantis as his running mate, even though when they were calling each other names, or Trump was calling, when I was calling DeSantis to sell out, and when I was calling DeSantis to blandness, and when Trump was calling DeSantis DeSanctimonious, it didn't seem likely that they were going to team up. But then I was like, how much of this is circus and pomp and circumstance? Like, how much of this is just a show? And so... And just because if I call my dad an asshole and he calls me a loser, it doesn't mean that we never team up and never do anything in the future. It just means we were arguing, we were not very tight at that time. So it doesn't mean that words and calling people names can't be unhealed, it can't be forgiven, and all that stuff. It doesn't mean that bridges can't be rebuilt. So... So I'm not going to be surprised if Trump announces his vice presidential candidate as Ron DeSantis. A lot of people thought he might do an opposite sex, pick a female running mate or something, or pick a minority candidate. There's no evidence that this VP pick would propel Trump to absolute, undeniable victory. Doesn't mean it's a foolproof plan. Yeah. So, I'm gonna move this bacon over here in the center and get some center heat action. Yeah, we'll put that over there, make it like a little. That's good. No, I love this transition on ABC Eyewitness News. So the story that I saw was man and woman die in fiery apparent murder-suicide in a fiery house fire. An apparent murder-suicide. And then she goes, and anyways. I love the transition. It was great. In this area, we have a fiery murder house suicide. An apparent murder-suicide. And now, on to the next story. And anyways, would that be great to be in the news? And a man shot his wife in the head and then burned the house down. And on to the next segment. Those segue transitions, those are usually always pretty entertaining. To other news, what segue would you use? So Donald Trump is kind of the kingmaker. And if Ron DeSantis wants to be the next king of America, the next commander-in-chief, then, well, he'll have to get on the Trump train. It's really up to Junior. So, the ball's in Junior's court. I'm gonna cook these bad dads on it good. You know what I mean? Oh yeah. DeSantis. Ooh. Yeah, Trump DeSantis 2024. Is it going to happen? I don't know. I'm not a psychic. I can just make educated guesses and hear what, comes from the rumor mill. But if it happens, I'm not going to be surprised. Did we do the parody video yet? All we hear is Israeli Gaza, Israeli Gaza. All we hear is Israeli Gaza. I haven't done it yet. I just, my old computer with the video editing software, I'm going to have to get some new software and stuff, So the parody videos have slowed because my old computer kind of crapped out and all that stuff. I got 2 new computers, but I'm gonna have to get some video editing software. I think I'm gonna get a external hard drive and then I'm going to terminate the old computer that I've been working on for years. But I'm going to take all the files and all the ideas off it, and all the pictures and everything, and then I'm going to get new video editing software. But I'm kind of torn this birthday. Should I get the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the Battle for Middle Earth trilogy for $300 from Walmart, or should I get video editing software? So I'm kind of torn because they came out with a trilogy for $300 of the Battle for Middle Earth, one of my favorite games, the Lord of the Rings. So yeah, it is a difficult decision, I guess, but or I get new video editing software. Maybe I get some AI software. Yeah, that text to editing. All I have to do is come up with the ideas, and the computer does the work. My mental ideas, my creative ideas, I could just use artificial intelligence. It's like having your own genie. But this is a dangerous genie. I realize it is a dangerous genie. It's a genie that's already out of the bottle, though. So why not use it before it gets corrupted by criminals and thieves and politicians? Why not use it for creative endeavors to make a lot of money before it gets shit on like some beautiful countryside? Just want to cook it all in this pan? Well, could try that. I don't know if it's gonna cut the mustard though. So, well, so I do the best of both worlds. I join the artificial intelligence with human intelligence, and then you become something else. A cyborg, a super intelligence. Combining the best of both worlds, man and machine. But not a full cyborg. Not like, in the movies, but like, or the TV, science fiction. But you can work on shows, movies. You can work on video games. You can work on music. You can work on books and other forms of media, using the artificial intelligence. But the artificial intelligence is just like a genie. It just whips up what you tweak it to do. You tell it what to do, like in Star Trek The Next Generation, like the holodeck. When the people in Star Trek The Next Generation, they go into the holodeck, they ask the computer to do whatever they want it to do and build whatever it wants. Maybe one day the artificial intelligence will be joined with the 3D printing technology, and you could build whatever you wanted. And you can make all your dreams come true, much like a genie. If you use it for good, of course. Which, not everybody's going to use these technologies for good, of course. But I'm going to try to use it for good and be a white knight in a sea of darkness. Yeah, I can foresee the AI get hooked up with the 3D printing technology. So then you command the AI linked in with the 3D printing. You combine, you fuse all the technologies into one, and they work in tandem to build things and to create things for the betterment of man and society and individuals and groups of people. So it's actually so some guy in the future says, I need a chair. I want a black chair. I want it this, just like Star Trek The Next Generation, when they're building objects, they tell the computer what to do, and the computer builds it for them. It's astounding possibilities. Of course, there's negative, dark possibilities. What if somebody builds a weapon or something like that? But the legal and positive possibilities are also astounding and filled with opportunity and creativity, innovation, success. And hopefully the road to hell is not paved with good intentions, as the old warning goes. But yeah. Trump MAGA 2024. If it's Donald Trump Noam, if it's Donald Trump Scott, if it's Trump DeSantis, as long as it's Trump, I get pumped. Trump president, Donald Pump 2024. Make America great again. 4 more in 2024. Let's send old Joe a message. You're fired. Send him to the old retirement home, and he can watch John Wayne movies and fart in his diapers and reminisce about corn pop or whatever he wants to do. Reminisce about vinyl records and all that antiquated shit. Reminisce about 8-track tapes and newspapers and stuff like that. And that's fine if that's what old men want to do. Reminisce about the newspaper days and the vinyl days, and that's okay. You're allowed to have your freedom to do that. But yeah, I don't think America's feeling 81 years ago, right? So 82 years ago, I guess. But as the good rival always says, good luck with that. MAGA, make America great again. Trump 2024. I can't wait for what's in store, because with Trump at the helm and DeSantis poised to become the next president after, there's really nothing this country and its people cannot do if they put their minds to it and put their willpower and spirit in motion. So, ocean to ocean, God bless. Peace.